Welcome to Curiosities, hidden facts about cities for curious people. The beautiful Bordeaux, the vineyards. Did you know there is a list? One single list, written by hand in 2 weeks, 170 years ago. Since that day, no wine in the world has been able to enter it. No wine has been able to leave it, with one single explosive exception. A list that decides which bottles are worth thousands of dollars and which are not. A list created not by wine experts, but by an emperor in a hurry. Welcome to Bordeaux, and to the story of the most powerful, most unfair, and most fascinating ranking in the entire world of wine. To understand Bordeaux, we first need to get our bearings. The most wine-producing continent on the planet. To the west, bathed by the Atlantic Ocean, lies France, the nation that for centuries was synonymous with fine wine. France, a country with over 800 authorized grape varieties, and wine regions so distinct from one another, they might as well be separate countries. To the north, Champagne. In the center, Burgundy. To the south, the Rhone, and to the southwest, Bordeaux. The Bordeaux region lights up in the southwest near the Atlantic Ocean. The Gironde River glows in blue. Bordeaux sits in the southwest of France, in the historic Gironde region. The city rests on the Garonne River, just 60 kilometers from the Atlantic Ocean. Its climate is oceanic, mild winters, warm summers, and a constant humidity that local winemakers learned to master like no one else in the world. The city itself is extraordinary. Declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2007, it is considered one of the most beautiful cities in France, with neoclassical architecture that earned it the nickname the Versailles of cities. The Place de la Bourse reflected in the Miroir d'Eau, 18th century buildings. But if Bordeaux is famous the world over, it is not exactly for its palaces. It is for its vineyards. And above all, for the way someone decided, a century and a half ago, which of those vineyards were better than the rest. Perfect rows of vines. Dramatic, cloudy sky. What is a Grand Cru? Before we tell the story, we need to understand one word. One small French word worth millions. Cru. In French, it literally means growth. In the world of wine, a cru is a vineyard with its own identity. A place with unique characteristics of soil, climate, and exposure that give its wine a distinctive and unrepeatable character. And a Grand Cru is, as the name suggests, a great vineyard. One of the best. But not just anyone can call themselves that. That is what the classification is for. 1855. The emperor has an idea. It was 1855. France was governed by Napoleon III, nephew of the great Napoleon Bonaparte. And the emperor had an ambitious plan to host in Paris the Universal Exposition, a world's fair where France would showcase its industrial and cultural greatness to the world. Napoleon III. He wanted French wines to be present. He wanted to display them with pride. But there was a problem. How do you present the wines of Bordeaux to the world without it looking like chaos? How do you tell an English buyer, a Prussian aristocrat, or a New York merchant which ones are the best? Napoleon III assigned the task to the Bordeaux Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce, wisely, decided to pass the problem along to someone else. The assignment fell to the syndicate of wine brokers, the middlemen who bought and sold wine between producers and buyers. They were the ones who knew the market best. Who knew, through decades of transactions, which wines sold for the most, which were most in demand, which carried the most prestige. And so, in an act that would mark the history of wine forever, these stockbrokers sat down to write a list. 2 weeks. That was all it took to classify the wines that would define the global market for the next 170 years. How did they classify the wines? The method is one of the most fascinating secrets of this story. There were no blind tastings, no expert committees, no chemical analysis or technical scores. The criterion was brutal in its simplicity: price. The price each wine fetched on the market. The logic was impeccable for the time. If a wine sells for more over decades, it is because buyers around the world believe it is worth more. And if it is worth more, it must be better. Historic documents from the era. On April 18, 1855, the classification was officially published. It included only the red wines of the Medoc, the great peninsula north of Bordeaux, plus one single wine from the Graves region, and the sweet white wines of Sauternes and Barsac. For the reds, the brokers established 5 categories, from highest to lowest prestige: the Premier Cru, the Deuxième, Troisième, Quatrième, and Cinquième Cru. 61 chateaux in total, divided across those 5 levels. At the very top, the 4 Premier Cru classés, the 4 first great growths of the world: Chateau Lafite Rothschild, Chateau Latour, Chateau Margaux, and Chateau Haut-Brion, the sole representative from Graves, an exception that proves the rule. Imposing architecture, historic vineyards. And for the sweet whites, the supreme category belonged to one single legendary chateau, Chateau d'Yquem, which received the unique distinction of Premier Cru Supérieur, literally the first above all the firsts. But here comes the part no one mentions when they talk about this classification. One of the most famous, most expensive, and most coveted wines on the entire planet was deliberately left off that list. Or worse, it was downgraded. Its name was Chateau Mouton Rothschild, and its story is the story of a slight that took 118 years to be put right. The humiliation of 1855. In 1853, just 2 years before the classification, Baron Nathaniel de Rothschild, of the English branch of the most powerful banking family in Europe, purchased a vineyard in Pauillac, in the heart of the Medoc. He named it Chateau Mouton Rothschild. It was an extraordinary wine. Everyone knew it. It sold at sky-high prices. But when the Bordeaux brokers published their list, Mouton was classified as a deuxième cru. Second. Not the best. Why? To this day, wine historians debate the answer. Some say the Bordeaux brokers, jealous of their local industry, did not want to see an English bank at the top of the pyramid. Others point out that the chateau had been acquired recently and did not yet have the price history that the others had accumulated. Whatever the reason, Baron Nathaniel responded with a phrase that became the estate's motto for the next 118 years. He had it engraved in French: Premier ne puis, seconde ne daigne, mouton suis, translated, first I cannot be, second I do not deign to be, mouton I am, the motto engraved at the chateau. 118 years of battle, decades passed. Wars came and went. The 20th century arrived with all its weight. And in 1922, Baron Nathaniel's great-grandson, Baron Philippe de Rothschild, took control of the chateau. Philippe was a remarkable character: racing driver, playwright, theater producer, and a man with one obsession: to see Mouton take the place it deserved. Historic photographs of Baron Philippe de Rothschild. Elegant, charismatic. He spent decades building the legend of Mouton. In 1924, he was the first to bottle all his wine directly at the chateau, rather than selling it in barrels. In 1945, he had a brilliant idea. Each year, an original artwork by a famous artist would design the bottle's label. Picasso, Dali, Warhol, Miro, Chagall, they all painted for Mouton. Meanwhile, Mouton's wine sold at Premier Cru prices. Everyone knew it. Everyone acknowledged it, except the official classification. The Parade of Great Artists. 1973, the only change in 170 years after decades of relentless pressure, political lobbying, and building an unshakable reputation, Baron Philippe achieved the impossible. In 1973, by means of a decree signed by Jacques Chirac, then France's Minister of Agriculture, Chateau Mouton Rothschild was officially promoted to Premier Cru Classé, the fifth of the firsts. It was the first and only time the 1855 classification had ever been changed upward. And Baron Philippe, with his inimitable wit, changed the chateau's motto. It now read, Premier Suisse, second Fous, Mouton ne change. First I am, second I was. Mouton does not change. Considered one of the most valuable labels in history. To celebrate the promotion, the Baron commissioned the label for the 1973 vintage from the greatest artist of the 20th century, Pablo Picasso. The drawing, a bacchanal of Dionysian figures, became both a work of art and a collector's holy grail. In 2006, a case of that wine sold at auction for $320,000. Can the classification change? Here we arrive at the question many people ask. Can the list be changed? Can a chateau move up or down in category today? The short answer is almost never. The long answer is far more interesting. In its 170 years of history, the 1855 classification has had exactly two formal modifications. The first, just months after it was published in 1855, when Chateau Cantemerle was added at the last moment as a 5e cru. The second, in 1973, with the promotion of Mouton Rothschild. Nothing else. Not a single promotion, not a single demotion, not a single new entry. The list remains, in essence, the same one those stockbrokers wrote in 2 weeks. Is this fair? Most experts say no. There are chateaux that have delivered mediocre results for decades and remain on the list. There are producers outside the classification making extraordinary wines who cannot get in. There are estates that did not even exist in 1855, and for that simple reason can never be classified. But the list endures. Why? Because changing it would be an economic earthquake. The property values of classified estates are astronomical precisely because of their status. A demotion could cost tens or hundreds of millions of euros in asset value. No one wants to start that fight. Christie's and Sotheby's are the first in the line. There is, in theory, a legal mechanism to request a review. Any chateau can petition for one, but the process is so complex, so costly, and so politically risky that in practice no one tries. There is one notable exception, the Saint-Emilion classification, another great sub-region of Bordeaux, which is reviewed every 10 years. It has seen promotions and demotions, lawsuits and scandals. It is a world apart, and proof that the model is possible. But the Médoc, the heart of the 1855 classification, remains untouchable. Bordeaux, a city that smells of history, of aged oak, of earth after the rain. A place where a list written in 2 weeks, 170 years ago, is still worth millions of dollars every single day. Where a man spent 118 years waiting for the world to acknowledge what everyone already knew, that his wine was the best. Where the soil, the climate, the river, and the human hand combined to create something the entire world wants to drink. The Garonne River reflecting the lights. The miroir d'eau. But there is something deeper behind all of this. The 1855 classification reveals something about ourselves. That when we create hierarchies, they tend to perpetuate themselves. That the power of a title, once granted, is nearly impossible to take away. That reputation, carefully cultivated, can become eternal. And that sometimes, to change the world, all it takes is the stubbornness of one man who, decade after decade, pours his wine and says, "First, I cannot be. Second, I do not deign to be. Mouton I am.